Imagine, you've been crushing on a girl hard. However, you don't quite have the courage to ask her out. To be fair, the two of you are not only good friends involved in a shared friend group, but you're also coworkers. Asking her out or potentially dating could disrupt the friend group and the friendship you previously shared. But your crush is too strong, so you're determined to make the move. You never quite muster up the courage, so in a seemingly innocent moment of frustration, you break the novelty one wish willow, wishing for her to love you more than anyone else in the world. That wish comes true to nightmarish effect. You possess the power to end the horror once and for all, but you don't. This is the story of obsession. Hello, my name is Blade, and let's talk about obsession. Obsession is a 2026 horror film directed by Curry Barker and stars Michael Johnston as Bear and breakout star Inde Navarrette as Nikki. The story follows Bear as he attempts to pursue Nikki, failing miserably. In a seemingly purely innocent moment, he breaks a novelty piece of bark called a one-wish willow, wishing for Nikki to love him more than anyone else in the world. This wish comes true, but it's taken painfully literally, with Nikki, or what once was Nikki, becoming clingy, obsessive, and going to extreme lengths in the name of her love for Bear. His innocent wish becomes quite the opposite, as Bear never truly assumes responsibility for what unfolds and acts quite selfishly in regards to the situation. This is almost more horrifying than what Nikki becomes or the wish itself. Not to mention, Bear maintains his nice guy image down to the bitter end of the film. There's never a reveal of true intentions or a slow unraveling of a perfectly curated persona. Again, that's almost more horrifying than the opposite. The understanding that he chooses this rather than setting Nikki free is disturbing. So let's discuss how Bear's subversive role as the villain makes him all the more compelling. At the core of what makes Bear interesting is that he's a nice guy. He's probably more in line with what the internet would call a soft boy. However, soft boys typically aren't hiding something up their sleeve or harbor any malicious intent. So, what is a nice guy? Well, I think we've all probably heard this term before, especially in American culture. The stereotype here is some regular guy named John or something that everyone regards as nice. He's generally helpful or always has nice things to say. Here's the thing. While this is an example of a genuinely nice guy, it's not what the term has turned into or can be used for. If you're a woman, an avid Reddit user, or Smosh viewer, you've probably heard the term nice guy in a different context. But if not, allow me to break it down. Essentially, there's a certain type of man who will describe, or I should say self-proclaim himself as a nice guy. He typically says this as a way to make himself seem unalarming to women, or I suppose anyone attracted to men as well, but for the story and themes of obsession, we will stick to the hetero scenario. It's no secret what women go through dating men. I mean, we often hear the stereotypes and the stories of, oh, he never puts the toilet seat down, or he has a weird relationship with his mother, or he clearly is a player. But that's all pretty surface level. The reality is some men don't treat women the best, and that's really putting it lightly. I don't think I need to pull up the statistics to tell you how real the threat of stalking and violence is. It's gotten to the point where it's ingrained into culture, and obsession is a product of that. So, this guy will call himself a nice guy as a way to say, hey, I'm not a threat. But then you discover, and sometimes, unsurprisingly, he's no nice guy at all. Sure, he's nice, but in exchange for what he wants or with certain expectations. There are hundreds of stories online about men saying things like, I literally took you out to dinner and bought you flowers, why don't you sleep with me? Or the classic going from the nice guy persona to rude and insulting in the face of rejection. I didn't want to date you anyway, you're ugly, what a bitch. This is more so the type of nice guy we're dealing with. He's not nice at all. This trope has been on the internet for quite some time now, but has become more and more prevalent in recent years, which is likely due to the cultural and political climate. So, fittingly, this subject matter and honestly, feminism in general has exploded in modern horror. Feminism, or even creepy guys, are nothing new to horror. One of the first and most famous horror films, Psycho, features a creepy dude.
They'll see. They'll see and they'll know. And they'll say, why, she wouldn't even harm a fly.
In 1975's The Stepford Wives confronts ideas of agency and the patriarchy.
Bobby, stop it! Look at me! Say I'm right! You are different, your figure's different, your face, what you talk about, all of this is different. Yes, this. It's wonderful.
However, themes related to feminism started to bubble up more and more in horror over the 2010s before becoming extremely prominent in the 2020s. In the past few years alone, several popular horror films deal with feministic themes. In recent times, there's been Companion.
I'll do whatever you want. I'll cook for you, wait on you, make love to you. I can make you happy, Josh. I can make you so happy.
The Substance. And Blink Twice.
Something horrible is about to happen.
What?
When things are good, that's when the bad stuff happens.
It goes beyond the horror genre as well, with other titles like Don't Worry, Darling.
You were miserable! You were so unhappy! You hated your life!
It was my life! My life! You don't get to take that from me!
Promising Young Woman.
Hey, Neil. Yeah. Is that I need to go home?
Holy shit, whoa, what is this?
And summer blockbuster Barbie.
Like, we have to always be extraordinary. But somehow we're always doing it wrong.
This wave of feminism is undeniable. It's not even the first time I've brought it up in one of my own video essays, but these themes have always existed in film, and especially in the horror genre. I think it's just a bit more upfront and center these days. It's also evolved to fit modern issues and discourse, like developing new archetypes, and one of those new archetypes being the nice guy. Art is more than often not a reflection of current times, and film is no stranger to that. In fact, I think you can learn a lot about a decade based on the themes present in the movies of that time. So, I don't find it surprising that nice guy horror has started to emerge. People are tired of putting up with toxic masculinity and its recent resurgence. I think the best way to sum this up is to take a look at the alleged male loneliness epidemic. Some men feel as though there is a mental health crisis specific to men. This isn't totally wrong. There is real evidence to support that many men do suffer greatly from mental health related issues and go without help due to societal pressures. However, this is not what we're dealing with here. The notion they are trying to get at is that they are lonely because women are not giving them the chance or time of day. Sound familiar? It feeds back into the whole "but I'm a nice guy" narrative. In reality, what's happening is women and others who are attracted to men are fed up, no longer tolerating certain behavior. Attaching yourself to the male loneliness epidemic concept is almost like a self-report at this point. It really says a lot about who you are as a guy. My reason for bringing all of this up is that it has manifested itself into the horror genre. Men, kind of in general, have become a legitimate, scary topic to explore. Not necessarily men as a whole, but just the ones who, for lack of a better term, are the problem. I mean, there's literally a horror movie simply titled Men that explores this topic. But to explore the idea of nice guy horror, I want to look more specifically at some recent releases such as Keeper and the aforementioned Companion. I just want to say off the bat that I'm aware Keeper is unfortunately not the best movie in terms of quality, but I'm merely choosing to reference it for its themes. The film follows a young woman named Liz going to stay at her boyfriend Malcolm's family cabin. The pair have been dating for a year and all seems well. However, the big twist here is that Liz has been brought as a sacrifice. Malcolm is actually well over 100 years old and has been using women as a sacrifice for immortality. Why I think this represents nice guy horror is up until this point, Malcolm has presented himself to Liz and the audience as a nice guy, even passive at times. However, he has something up his sleeve, intending to use Liz for his needs, becoming not so nice once she obviously isn't really totally into that idea. Comparably, even though these films are quite different, 2025's Companion plays into similar ideas. Our protagonist, Iris, is revealed to be a robot whose purpose is quite literally to be a subservient girlfriend to owner Josh. She discovers this after Josh jailbreaks her programming in order for her to commit a murder for him. So, once again, a scenario of the woman being used for the guy's needs, and also she's kind of quite literally portrayed as an object here. Again, he is initially presented to us and her as a generally nice guy until she tries to break free and his true colors begin to show. This is what makes Bear interesting. While I do believe he fits into this nice guy archetype, he does function differently. In fact, I think he functions differently from most male antagonists in general. There's a certain way movies go about writing men as the villain in horror or even thrillers. This isn't the case for every single movie out there where the antagonist is male, but in stories where the villain is deceptive, where we are initially introduced to someone who portrays themselves as non-threatening to weasel their way in until the facade slowly cracks and unravels. Two examples of the typical way things go are 1996's Fear and 2009's The Stepfather. In Fear, we follow Nicole, a sweet girl from a decently well-to-do family who finds herself infatuated with heartthrob David. The movie itself never really hides from us that something is off with David, but it falls in line with this structure because from Nicole's perspective, the mask is up for quite some time, only breaking when she realizes his obsessive ways. David's obsession, no pun intended, is then on full display, not hiding his hostility. The same can be said for The Stepfather. Again, the film doesn't really hide from us that there is something wrong with Bachelor David. No, that's not a mistake. Both of these movies feature a David. I'm sorry for the confusion. I really did not realize that when I picked these movies, but they do both indeed feature a David. Anyways, he finds his way into the life of Susan and her children before things start to go wrong. When her son Michael returns home and starts to be at odds with David, Michael being skeptical of him, things turn sour as David can no longer keep up the act. The mask eventually slips, no longer hiding his aggression. So, if you'll notice, Obsession does not operate this way. The understanding of Bear as the villain is a slow, simmering thought as the movie progresses, and even when it becomes noticeable and undeniable, his demeanor just remains the same. Oh, Bear, you pathetic excuse of a man. You almost had me fooled. And that's the point. When we are introduced to Bear, we are essentially greeted by a lovesick puppy. He seems soft and gentle in demeanor, and his crush on Nikki seems to be pure. He doesn't mention anything about her body, he doesn't make weird, gross comments about her. His affection appears to genuinely be from her personality and how she was there for him during the passing of his grandmother. This disarms us as the audience. Additionally, Obsession at its core is a be careful what you wish for story, so I do feel as though that naturally puts us in a space where we're ready for the wish to bring about the trouble, but we don't necessarily factor in his role in that quite yet. So, Bear makes the wish and things quickly go wrong. Nikki starts to act strange and clingy before things truly start to get downright disturbing and horrifying. She makes him a sandwich using meat from his dead cat. She stands still all day waiting for him to come home, soiling herself in the process. And then, of course, she violently kills their mutual friend Sarah when Bear sneaks off to speak to her privately. So you might ask, why doesn't Bear just stop this? Sure, at first he can kind of dismiss the strange behavior, but once it gets out of hand, why doesn't he just free himself and Nikki? Well, the simple answer is he doesn't want to. This might sound shocking, as Bear throughout the film never has his moment where his mask slips or his nice guy persona cracks. He's the same gentle-natured guy we met in the beginning. That's where the film tricks us. We mistake docile for incapable. However, it's been in front of our face the whole time, going all the way back to the initial wish. Bear could have simply wished for the courage to ask Nikki out, or sure, even for him to like her back. But he specifically wishes for her to love him more than anyone else in the world. He wants her to himself. This is reiterated to us after the fact when their mutual friend Ian suggests Bear might be taking advantage of Nikki. This stems from Nikki lying that her father is suffering from cancer and attempt to get closer to Bear post-wish. Bear denies this, and at this point in the movie, we can kind of also excuse it just a bit as well because we're aware of the wish and its shenanigans, but this is definitely one of those moments on a rewatch where you go, oh wow, he really did just suck this whole time. In all fairness, Bear does have his moment where his true nature becomes revealed, but it's still quite subversive. The same night when Bear sneaks off to talk to Sarah, Nikki calls out to him from the bed. However, in a chilling moment, it becomes clear that this is the actual Nikki talking to him, not whatever is possessing her body. The film has hinted at this before, but here we get clarification. She pleads with Bear to kill her and end the misery. Instead of doing the right thing or being horrified by that revelation, Bear responds with this.
What's so bad about being with me?
He isn't worried that her body is possessed or that really he's not even dating the real Nikki. He's more concerned about the fact that she wants to be free from him. To which Nikki replies,
I've never been with you, Bear. Please.
Bear just walks away, further and purposefully subjecting Nikki to this hell. Furthermore, when Bear does decide he needs to end all of it, it has nothing to do with freeing Nikki, but freeing himself from the situation. In the end, he never feels guilty or takes any responsibility. In fact, he dies, which, yes, does free Nikki from the possession, but it leaves her to deal with the consequences and the trauma of the entire experience. This is what makes Bear one of the more interestingly written horror villains in a while. Even after the exchange when Nikki pleads to be free, Bear doesn't change. He has the same personality. Sure, his response is chilling, but he doesn't say anything like, no, you're mine, or, you know I can't do that. He's still the same guy we met at the beginning of the movie. We just didn't initially realize he was capable of doing something like this. But this is who he was the entire time. The signs were just dismissed or unnoticed. This isn't dissimilar to the real-life dating experience of many women and victims.
What? Bear, I love you.
No. Do you like me? Do you even like me at all? Is Nikki happy? Does Nikki like me?
I hope you enjoyed this video essay. I knew pretty much immediately after watching Obsession that I wanted to tackle it at some point. I just had to figure out what perspective I wanted to take, but upon my second viewing, it became very clear to me that I wanted to talk about Bear and like how he operates in the writing and the narrative. I won't lie, he is the type of character that I would like be attracted to and like swoon over, because first of all, Michael Johnston like is cute and attractive, but also, you know, he's just like that soft boy kind of thing, gentle, you know, so that just really works for me. So he just, like, I was very disarmed by him as a character, and I think everything I previously mentioned really helped with that. It sold him to me, plus Michael's great acting job. So I remember rewatching it and going like, wow, he really sucked the whole time, and the signs were all there. It wasn't really until that bedroom scene on my first watch where I was like, oh wow, okay, so like he is like basically purposely really, doing this. So, but I do kind of think that's the point. He's kind of meant to be hidden in plain sight and also just be kind of a bit pathetic, just really overall not the typical horror villain. I will say this is another movie where I definitely didn't touch upon everything in this movie, but there's just so many details. It's such a densely packed film, but there's been lots of conversation around this movie, so whatever I didn't get to, it's definitely not being skipped or missed. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video essay, I do one of these every month. I pick a new movie every time. I think, mainly focus on horror, but I do have like one or two, and some ones I definitely want to do that are not horror related. But if you enjoyed this, I do them every month, so consider liking and subscribing. Also commenting. I do love to hear other people's thoughts. But in addition to video essays, I do review movies. I'm also a small independent filmmaker myself, so you can check out my work if you feel so inclined. But I think for all that's now, stick around for some little bloopers. I honestly didn't do too bad this time, so I don't think there's that many, but watch little bloopers if you want to. But as for right here, right now, that is all. So I will see you in the next one. In the end, he does die, yes, but... Oh, wait. So, let's discuss Bear's subversive role as the villain. Nope, okay. I'm gonna restart from the top, I think. Oh, why did I do that?